I was blown away. And
Hmm.
when they sent me the script, they said, "Hey, we got something for you. I think you're gonna like it." And I said, "Man, I'm in," because I'd worked with them back in 2004. They're two of my favorite people on the planet Earth to work for. And I told them at the culmination of that film in 2004, I said, "Man, I would do a Fruit Loops commercial with you guys." So they called me a year and a half ago and they were like, "Flannery, we got a Fruit Loops commercial." I said, "Put me in, coach." They said, "Well, let us send you the script, read
Uh-huh.
it, let us know what you think." And so I read it, and my first question was,
Execution scheduled for 11 p.m. But he's trying to convince us he's gone insane.
And therefore incapable of being executed.
I need you to prove he's faking it.
Edward? I'm gonna ask you some questions.
I'm not Edward. I'm a demon.
"Hey, how are you, man?"
What's going on, Sean? How's it going?
"Hey, it's good, man."
Where are you at?
Hey, just an FYI, I don't know if you know,
Uh-huh.
there's a dirty tied up behind you.
Oh, where at? What's going on?
There's a dirty girl tied up behind you.
Oh, I noticed. She's been there for many interviews.
Ah, okay. All right. I just thought maybe you forgot her.
No, 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 no. That's I needed to fill the wall with something and cover up the cables for my neon sign, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why not, right? Well, I see you have a cross, right? A rosary there, or a cross, or
Oh, yeah. It's amp.
oh, it's that's pretty cool. Well, there you go. It's
Yeah,
I think it's pretty fitting for this role in a way, ironic too, right?
yeah. I didn't even know it was there in camera, but yeah, yeah.
Hey, everything's happening with this. So I talked to Jordan yesterday, and there's so many like oddities that are combined in his life to this movie and just in general. So this is fitting almost that, of course there would be a cross with a potential demon, That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to get a chance to talk to you. Been a longtime fan. We met once on a red carpet out in LA a few years back, but it's on my friend of mine, Timothy Woodward's film. So that you did. There you go. Uh,
Yeah. Outsider. Shout
that's
out to
right.
Timothy. He's a good dude, man.
Oh yeah,
Good
great
director,
guy.
good writer. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you were in his film. So that's when I got a chance to meet you. So it's cool to catch up again.
Likewise, brother.
How's life in general? How's everything with you?
It's killer, man.
Yeah.
Out in Texas with my family. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Are
Got
you
some
living out in
land out
Texas?
here. We're outside of the city, so it's killer, man.
Are
It's
you
killer.
living in Texas full time or just temporarily now?
Say again?
Are you living in Texas full time or just temporarily?
Oh yeah, 100% full time.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, you don't need that LA spotlight constantly 24/7. It does bad to your mind. You know what I mean? There's psyche when you're there all the time. So that's a good move.
No, man, I grew up in the GST,
Hmm.
and the GST pulled me back. The great
There you
state
go.
of Texas.
Same with me in Chicago. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at currently too. And LA's good for the work and all that, but you feel more grounded back home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, I was telling Jordan that yesterday too. I saw the trailer for this film like a month or so ago when I was in theaters, and I was blown away. First of all, I was kind of debating in a second because I couldn't tell for the first like minute of it. It was you or Steven Dorff, so I had to go look it up on IMDb who was in the lead role there in that jumpsuit and everything. You had me fooled there for a second. But man, what an intense film. I was blown away by it, and I'm glad that it's actually coming to theaters because I feel like this is a theatrical experience, this film. But was this I've seen a lot of your work. This was one of the most sort of out there and intense roles I've seen you in, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's there's some scripts that are really why you want to move out to Los Angeles and pursue it as a career. And this
Mm-hmm.
is one of those scripts, if you have two or three of these scripts in a career, man, it's a good bullseye to aim for. And I think the first script that I ever got where I really had to campaign to get the role. And when I read it, I thought, this is why I moved out. The first one of those was Powder. And the second one was the film that I wrote and produced, Born a Champion. And the third is this, Nefarious. I'm grateful. I'm honored to have been handed this script. Chuck and Carrie, the writers, directors, are some of the most creatively talented human beings I've ever come across in this industry. I think they knocked this out of the park. And for me to do a script where I don't really find the necessity to change even a single syllable is rare, man. I just, these scripts are rare, man. They're few and far between.
You mentioned Chuck and Carrie, and they're known for a lot of religious, spiritual films. I remember meeting at the Movie Guide Awards, and they've done a lot of spiritual films. God's Not Dead. Then there was Do You Believe was another one that they did. So I was somewhat surprised. I know this has a spiritual essence to it for sure too, but I was surprised for them to delve into like the thriller / kind of like a horror genre versus like the traditional kind of dramas that they've done, the religious drama. So this was a surprise for me initially too. Like, whoa, they're doing this movie. Showed a different side of them too.
Yeah, sometimes if somebody's shouting too loud, you can't hear what they're saying. You know, and I think they weren't shouting too loud on this one, so I think more people will hear quite crisply and cleanly what.
That's interesting. I think that's a good way of saying it in that way too. When you got approached a script, what was your initial reaction when you read the script the first time? Do you remember sort of the thoughts going through it? Because it's gonna take a lot out of you for sure, to bring this to life on screen, and the scenes you and Jordan have are intense moments a lot of time. But do you remember initial kind of reaction you had the first time you read it?
Yeah, I was blown away. And when they sent me the script, they said, hey, we got something for you. I think you're going to like it. And I said, man, I'm in, because I'd worked with them back in 2004. They're two of my favorite people on the planet Earth to work for. And I told them at the culmination of that film in 2004, I said, man, I would do a Fruit Loops commercial with you guys. So they called me a year and a half ago, and they were like, Flannery, we got a Fruit Loops commercial. I said, put me in, coach. They said, well, let us send you the script, read it, let us know what you think. And so I read it, and my first question was, I hope they want me to play Nefarious. That was my first thing. I thought whoever gets that role, man, that's, again, why you moved to LA.
Yeah.
And I called them back and I said, I'm in. I love it. And they said, okay, well, we have an important question we need to know. What role do you want to play? And I said, man, guys, you know me. I want to play Nefarious. And they were like, okay, thank God. Yes. Okay. And I was like, what? Do
you imagine yourself doing the other role, Jordan's role, for example, the psychiatrist sort of thing? It's a reversal, because you guys are almost like mirroring each other in a film, but polar opposites too.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, I wouldn't want to do this film with anybody else sitting across the table than Jordan. I thought he completely crushed this character.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure to work with him. I mean, I can't see anybody else pulling it off with the nuance that he did.
And you guys spent a lot of time. He told me too that you guys talked a lot and really connected on a personal level too, and I imagine you would have to, when you're in so many scenes together and having these intense moments. It was ironic that the first day of shooting, he had a birth of his son too, which is wild. And he credited you two to kind of helping him, being really supportive and cool about that aspect too. But a lot has happened here. I mean, personally, between you, I imagine between you guys to really pull it out on screen, because it's dynamic. It really is.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, we met down in the business room of the hotel, like when he first got in town, and we were gonna, rehearse. But I'm not a big dude on rehearsing.
Okay.
I like to do it all up here.
Yeah.
And kind of save the surprise for the day. So we just ended up chatting about life and fatherhood, and we talked about what we thought was important in the script. We didn't really go over any scenes. And I'm grateful that he was amenable to that.
Mhm.
Some actors want to run the lines over and over and over again and over and again until you get on the day and you're like, this just I've heard it so many times. It's nothing
Yeah.
fresh, organic, and yeah, we just got to know each other, and I realized he's a really good dude with a killer work ethic, and he's
Mhm.
talented, and he doesn't need any rehearsal. He showed up on day one, and I was like, all right, there he is. Yep.
There you go. And even on day one, you imagine that going through the birth of your first son and not being able to be there in person and just seeing it through the, FaceTime. That must have been a hell of a day for him too, all around.
Man, I got to tell you, that's the day before shooting, and he's like, my son was just born. I said, what do you mean? I thought he was talking about, okay, well, I have a dog and he gave birth to a pup. I was like, I
Right.
had no idea. And he was like, no, my son, my
Was
wife was
born.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And she was in LA here. Is she here? No, I'm like, what? And man, saw
Commitment and dedication to work, right? I mean, that tells you a lot about the guy.
yeah, but he's a killer dad. He's a good dude, man. And God bless him. His boy's name is Rocky, and he's the cutest little kid you'll ever see, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys definitely had a good repertoire on screen and seems like off screen as well, which is great to hear. When I mentioned that script, when you got it, you said you don't like really to rehearse. How do you get into that mental space? Because this character it takes you on a journey, literally through, like I said, there's a spiritual side, there's a horror side of it too, but it's a twisted side. There's some truth, there's some lies with this character. Like, how do you put yourself in that headspace of what presenting? I know there's words on a script, but do you get sometimes psyched out by certain characters? Because I imagine I kind of would be thinking at night, when I go to bed about what I'm playing here on screen, because it's that intense and you need to deliver the goods.
I don't, man. My preparation kind of takes place in between fade in and fade out. It's all in the script. And I read the script. I try to kind of stick myself in that scenario and decide how this physical being would react emotionally, physically, auditorily, tactily, and I make those decisions, and then I just do it. I don't take any of it home with me.
Mm-hmm.
I am who I am at my core, and as soon as they say cut, there wasn't anybody I was channeling or any of this other garbage that actors claim. I was playing make believe in between action and cut, and hopefully people believed it. But I didn't lose any part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take any of it home with me. After they said cut, I was thinking, man, this place has a killer margarita pizza.
There you go.
20 minutes before wrap, I'll pick it up. It's I love my job and I take it deadly seriously.
Yeah.
But I don't sacrifice any part of who I am at my core for any role.
I like that, and that's how it should be. That's work, in a sense. Then you have a personal life, but like you hear so many stories of actors just getting into roles. You can't talk to them. You can't even look their way on set. And it's like for weeks and months, I can't imagine being on a set where you can't even look at someone who you're working with because they're so like into these roles and like they become these people or think they are that. I just think it's like, okay, like let's step back here. You know what I mean? It's a role. You do your work and then you go home, but you can't hold it with you day and night, especially for months on shooting sometimes. I just think it's a wild approach too, but maybe it works for some.
I just think it's bullshit, man.
Yeah.
I think people need to come up with some explanation to make the job seem
bigger than it is.
Official than it is. Like they talk about, there was so much trauma in my childhood that I had to bring back into me and it just took years off my life. Man, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know what? We're actors. I've had real jobs, man. I moved pianos for Atlas Van Lines. I dug ditches. I put culverts under driveways.
And that's hard work. That's hard work, punching in that clock, every day.
Best thing I've ever done. Don't get me wrong. I take it seriously.
Yeah.
But if you have to wreck your life or anybody else's life in order to do it good, you need to rethink your process, man. I don't want to work with people that won't let me talk to them in between takes. I don't want to work with people that I don't know if somebody's playing a homeless guy, if they sleep on the streets for a week and come to the set with fecal matter in their hair. I don't want to work with that guy. Have makeup make it look like there's poop in your hair. I don't need to, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I never did either.
I'm not trying to minimize the actual work, because I think it has a degree of difficulty and it's important. Sure. But man, this whole it took years off my life crap. It's like, dude, get a real
this meta thing. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think, people on the outside who aren't in the industry can't really wrap their heads around it. You know what I mean? The people you talk about who go and dig ditches every day, you're like, this shit's hard. You know what I mean? This shit's taking years off of my life because of the hard work and, I'm not seeing my family, for 10 hours a day or whatnot daily doing that, because it's hard for regular people to relate. But I think you really nailed it. I agree with you in that aspect. And like you said, it is still serious work and you can pull it off like you did in this film, which is awesome. And also credit to this film too. I spoke to Jordan. I like the fact we've seen all these demonic sort of movies, all that stuff. There is no like walking on walls here or blood and guts and all these like tactics they use. This was like the most kind of realistic, honest thing. When you're watching it, it's kind of like, oh shit, is this guy this or that? Because you're not using tricks of the thing of the, in a sense of the theme that of demonic stuff that they usually use, in films like that. And I appreciate that about that film, how it felt authentic and realistic, didn't use the tropes.
Yeah, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, the right 5 words can be worth 1,000 pictures. These guys wrote the right words. Mm-hmm. So I think the way that they crafted this story, it can take place with no extravagant CGI explosions or heads exploding or blood and guts. It's constructed in such a way that the words alone are captivating. I mean, truly, it's one of the rare opportunities in my life to do a script like this that's so well crafted, not a syllable needs to be changed.
And the scariest stuff I always think and say as a frequent movie watcher is like the stuff that you can think it's real, because the jump scares and all that doesn't stay with you, but real people are the scariest things usually in horror, not like things that are just it's make believe, but the people and the psyche of people, sometimes that's the scariest stuff. And I think in this film, when you're really along for this ride, it definitely gets to you, because it's like, okay, there's elements that aren't being fictionalized here potentially too, because of real conversations and these sort of things, and it makes it feel more scarier.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the scariest thing is when you see something unnerving and you go, I believe that. That could happen. That's scary.
That's why I think like people are so hooked on like crime docs and all these things these days. I feel it's because the element of reality and knowing that it happened, it's fascinating but scary also, knowing that the people are scary. The scariest boogeymans are probably the Jeffrey Dahmers actually, and these sort of people who existed, not, a clown or whatnot, like it, that sort of thing. So
yeah, I think if you're comparing like, ooh, I'm scared of a doll coming to life and hacking up my family, or are you afraid of a home invasion? You're afraid of a home invasion because that shit's on the news.
Exactly. A couple more before I wrap with you. I'm always curious, a big Boondocks Saints fan. Did you ever think it would become years later still a phenomenon and a cultural hit? I mean, when you look at it back now, how do you feel about it? Versus when you were doing it originally, and still the fandom and the conventions that you go to and meet all the fans, is it still kind of like, makes you a pinch you moment in a sense that it still lives on so well?
I've made a career out of doing movies that nobody ever sees. And Boondock was one of those. It was an independent film that we loved. Me and Rita fell in love with the script. We loved what it was saying, the message, the characters, the chemistry. But you never anticipate it becoming some weird cult hit that's passed on from friend to friend to friend. And having said the same thing is about Nefarious. I mean, this is a small, tiny, independent film that we made for 1/6 of the budget that we made Boondock Saints for. So, do I anticipate this reaching as many people? Man, I didn't anticipate 1,000 people seeing Boondock Saints. They're independent films, so you never know what the market conditions are. you know, if the industry is receptive or if the advertising campaign reaches people, what I can say is I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this film, and I hope people see it. But there is no recipe to design a cult hit. If anybody had that recipe, we'd all make them 10 a day. You know,
Right.
You don't know what will resonate, but I do feel like, you know, this film is worthy of note. It's worthy of those numbers. It's worthy of that viewership. But having said that, man, I've thought that about a handful of films. I mean, some of my best stuff nobody's ever seen, and conversely, some of the most ridiculous stuff, you know, became wildly people tend to watch it over and over again. It really is that iceberg where people see the tip sticking out and they go, "Oh, that's what they've done." Really, you know, 98% is underneath the surface that never even came out. So, you know, I hope this will be above the surface, but you never know. You know, I'm proud of it though. I'm really proud of it.
Which is important at the end of the day, no matter what, you know, you are proud of the work you've done and you enjoyed the experience and you work with people that you wanted to work with. Like you said, you would have done Fruit Loop commercials. So that says a lot about you and, you know, the relationships you've had here and made here with Jordan and the directors, and I'm sure the rest of the people involved. So that's a cool thing. That's a cool, memorable experience no matter what. And I love the fact it's coming out in theaters. I think this is a good movie to see in theaters. Like, I actually watched half the screener and the other half I'm going to the movies next week to watch it because I want to have that ending of the film in a movie kind of dark theater in a big screen. So I kind of did that little thing. I'm like, I'm going to watch half of it and then I'm going to watch the other half next weekend.
Oh, right on, man. Right on.
I love that. Yeah, I feel it's going to be the best experience. Kind of, and I'm waiting to see what's going to happen to end it. And speaking of any, last thing I wanted to ask you, like I said, I've been a longtime fan of your work. What do you like to do for fun? I love the fact you seem like a normal, just chill, everyday guy. I think it's the best thing about it. But what are some of your hobbies and interests you kind of like to do when you're not working?
Martial arts. You know, I have a facility on my property right there.
Oh, very cool.
The backyard. So I've been into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since the 90s. So I have a kids class starting at 5 o'clock tonight. The adult class starts at 6 here on my property. My two boys have been into Jiu-Jitsu since they were 4 years old. Wow. So it's a huge part of my life and my legacy and what I'll leave behind to my kids. So really what I like to do, anything involving my family.
Yeah. I
am in love with my family. I want to spend time, my wife and my kids are really, that's kind of all I do. And, you know, it's in reference to the career, you know, I learned early on in life that it's not just important to be a hero, but to be a hero for the right people. And, you know, as long as my boys think that, they haven't seen this film, but my wife saw it and she was proud of me. So
she
that's
liked
all I need. Yeah, she liked it. She was proud of me. So that's all I need. That's all I need. That's my People's Choice Award or whatever the awards, you know, that's my whatever award, you know. She liked it. She said, "Man, you were good." And that's my wife, man.
That's the best compliment. That's the best critic and you know, review you could get. You know what I mean? It's from your wife. So yeah. The most important person in your life gives you the thumbs up. That's all you need.
Yeah.
There you go, man. I love hearing that. It's so cool. You got it figured out. You know, a lot of people in this industry value a lot of things that don't matter at the end of the day, and then, you know, lose themselves. And you're clearly grounded and know what matters in life. And I feel like that's how you can separate. You know, that's why probably you don't need the meta thing and, you know, going into these characters, because you know what is really matters in life and the priorities that exist and the work versus life separation. So, good to hear that, man. I'm happy to hear that, and it's really great. So keep on being you, Sean.
I'm gonna.
There, love it. Well, have fun today teaching in class. I think everyone should probably learn some martial arts. It's good for self-defense, especially in today's world, you know. So that's a good thing too to know is self-defense, especially in youth. You know what I mean? People can protect themselves and kids, you know, too, knowing self-defense. So that's a great thing.
I appreciate it, man. It's one of the most important things I'll be able to leave behind.
Yeah, that's a great legacy. You know what I mean? And I feel you should keep on continuing. And yeah, and your sons probably will be right behind you then, since they've been doing all their lives too. So Awesome for that. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It's so cool catching up with you. And like I said, I really enjoyed the film and the performance so much that I'm going to the theaters to finish watching it, because that's how much I liked it. And I wanted to enjoy it on a big screen. So keep on doing the good work.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Hey, hope to catch up with you down the road again.
All right. God bless.
You too. Bye-bye.